Ever get that feeling? You know, like you're watching a movie, but the soundtrack's from a totally different film. That's kind of what we're diving into today. That feeling of wanting to belong, but then also feeling like you're the odd one out.
Yeah.
And to help us unpack all of this, we're actually going to be using a tarot reading.
Okay.
But don't worry, if you're not into tarot or if you think it's all about predicting the future,
Right.
it's not like that.
Yeah.
Think of the cards more like a symbolic language, a way to tap into those universal experiences we all share.
Exactly. Like, we might have different stories.
Yeah.
But the emotions underneath it all, those are things we can all relate to.
Totally. And for this reading, we're focusing on, well, this is going to sound kind of out there, but Pearl Krabs from SpongeBob SquarePants. I know. But hear me out. This isn't just about a whale who loves cheerleading in a Bikini Bottom world.
Right.
Pearl's struggles with wanting to fit in, even within her own family, those are surprisingly relatable.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, for the first card in this spread, we've got a bit of an interesting combo.
Yep.
We've got the Five of Pentacles right alongside the Moon and the Ace of Cups.
Wow. That's interesting. You don't usually see those three together.
Right.
So the Five of Pentacles, it often represents feeling left out. Like you're on the outside looking in.
And then you add the Moon into the mix.
It's like that feeling of being lost and confused.
Yeah, like, why am I like this? Why doesn't everyone else get it?
Exactly. And it can be especially tough when you're trying to connect with someone who just sees the world in a totally different way.
Okay, so how does this all tie back to Pearl?
Well, think about her relationship with Mr. Krabs.
Yeah.
He's all about that money life.
Oh, yeah, totally.
For doing rules, counting every penny.
Well, Pearl's over there like, but what about art and music and expressing myself?
Exactly. It's like they're speaking two different languages, even though they're family. And that can make you feel so alone. Like you're the only one who feels the way you do.
And I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling, whether it's within their families or their friend groups or even at work.
Absolutely. It's that universal desire to belong, to be understood and accepted for who you truly are.
Okay, but before we go down that rabbit hole too far, let's not forget about the Ace of Cups.
Ah, yes. The Ace of Cups.
That glimmer of hope in this spread.
Exactly. It's like a reminder that even when we feel alone, even when we feel like we don't fit in, there's still potential for emotional fulfillment.
So it's not just about blind optimism.
No.
It's about recognizing that there are people out there who will get you, who will appreciate your unique perspective.
Yes. It's about finding your people, your tribe, those who not only accept your quirks, but celebrate them.
And that feeling of finding your people, that's where the real magic happens.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about that feeling of being different, which can be tough,
Totally.
but wallowing in it,
Right.
it's not really going to get us anywhere.
Right.
Definitely not. This next part of the reading, though, this is where things start to get good.
Oh, yeah.
This is like that pep talk you need
I like it.
when you're feeling down.
Okay.
And the cards we have here,
Yeah.
they definitely scream confidence.
Okay.
We're talking the Magician, the Page of Swords, and the Two of Cups.
Interesting combo.
Right. Like
Okay.
the universe is handing us a toolkit.
I love that. A
Well,
toolkit.
Right.
Self-discovery.
Because that's really what the Magician is all about, right? It's not about like waving a wand and poof, everything's different.
Right.
It's about realizing you already have everything you need within you.
Yes.
You have the tools.
You have the tools.
You just got to figure out how to use them.
Exactly. And the magician has all those tools laid out. Wands, cups, swords, pentacles.
So many tools.
Right. And each one represents a different part of ourselves,
Mhm.
like different strengths and challenges and possibilities.
Okay, so how do we connect that back to Pearl?
Well, imagine if Pearl, instead of trying to hide her artistic side to please her dad, what if she just went for it?
Yeah.
Embraced that creative energy.
Mr. Krabs is like, what are you doing?
Exactly. And she's like, this is me. This is who I am.
I don't want to count money. I want to make art.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where her true power lies.
Not in being a mini Mr. Krabs.
Right.
But in being her own fabulous self.
Yes. And speaking of embracing your own path, that's where the Page of Swords comes in.
Ooh. Tell me more.
This card is all about curiosity and exploration, like being open to new experiences,
Even if they're a little scary.
especially if they're a little scary. It's about stepping outside that comfort zone and seeing what's out there.
So less about having a detailed plan.
Yes.
And more about saying, Let's see where this road takes us.
Exactly. Trust your intuition, follow your interests.
I like it.
And as you're doing that,
Yeah.
keep the Two of Cups in mind.
Yep.
Because this card is a reminder that as you embrace your authentic self, you'll start to attract people into your life who appreciate you for who you truly are.
So even if we start out feeling like the odd one out,
Yeah.
like Pearl in a sea of Krabby Patties,
Right.
we can still find our people.
You will find your people.
Yeah.
Those connections are out there.
The ones who just get us, flaws and all.
Absolutely. Those deep, authentic connections, they're out there.
Mm,
And they're so important because they remind us that we're not alone.
that we belong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even if it's not always in the ways we expect.
Okay, I am so ready to go out and be my most authentic self.
Right.
But let's be real for a sec.
Okay.
It's easy to talk about embracing our own path and all that, but
Yeah.
how do we actually do that when real life gets in the way?
It's a balancing act.
Right, totally. What about those expectations from family, from society, even from ourselves?
Right. And that's exactly what this last part of the reading is all about.
Okay, hit me with it. What's the final card?
So we've got the Ten of Wands,
Okay.
and it's hanging out with the Knight of Cups and the Hierophant.
Interesting combo.
Yeah. These three together, they have a lot to say about finding that sweet spot between honoring yourself and dealing with the outside world.
Okay, so break it down for me. What's the Ten of Wands all about?
Okay, imagine you're carrying this giant pile of stuff, like it's heavy. It's weighing you down.
Ugh, I feel that.
Right. That's the Ten of Wands. It represents those burdens we put on ourselves, the pressure to live up to other people's expectations.
And sometimes it's like, you should be doing the responsible thing.
Right, the expected thing.
Yeah, but your heart's just not in it.
And you end up feeling drained and exhausted.
Totally.
And that's where the Knight of Cups comes in, with this beautiful energy of emotional intelligence and self-compassion.
Okay, I like where this is going.
This card is all about listening to your feelings, even if they don't make sense to anyone else.
So it's like the Knight of Cups is giving us permission to put down that heavy load and be like, you know what? My needs matter. My happiness matters.
Exactly. It's not selfish to prioritize yourself. It's actually essential.
Okay, but how do we balance that with everything else we have going on?
That's where the Hierophant comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Remember how we talked about tradition and structure?
Yeah.
The Hierophant embodies those concepts,
Mm.
but it's not about blindly following rules. It's about understanding the value of those structures while also recognizing you have the power to question them, to adapt them, to create your own path within them.
So it's like with Pearl, she can appreciate her dad's work ethic,
Right.
those values.
Exactly.
But she doesn't have to become a carbon copy of Mr. Krabs.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance, honoring the past, while also creating a future that feels authentic to you.
Wow, this whole reading has been like a mini adventure for our souls.
I like that. A soul adventure.
Right. We started out feeling lost and alone.
Yeah.
Then we tapped into our inner magician.
We found those tools.
Yes. And now,
Mm.
now we're learning to walk that tightrope between our own needs and the expectations of the world.
And remember, it's a journey. There will be ups and downs, but the most important thing is to stay true to yourself. Embrace what makes you unique.
Love that. Find your people. Embrace your weirdness. And don't be afraid to dance to the beat of your own drum, even if no one else hears the music.
Perfectly said.
So as you head out into the world today, just remember, what's one small way you can honor your authentic self?
Keep asking that question.
And keep diving deep.
All right, so buckle up, because today's deep dive
Oh, yeah.
is going off the beaten path a little bit.
Okay.
Swapping out, our usual stack of articles and research papers for something a little more mystical, a little more Gary.
That's right. We were going mystical. Yeah, we're diving into a tarot reading that you sent to us.
Oh.
A fascinating spread centered around everyone's favorite quiet companion,
Okay.
Gary the Snail.
You heard right.
Yeah.
We're using Gary's surprisingly zen approach to life as a lens for exploring your own inner wisdom,
Okay.
your support system, and even those hidden strengths
Right.
that you might not realize you have.
It's amazing how even a character like Gary can offer profound insights.
Yeah.
And the cards that you pulled really emphasize those themes of introspection, self-awareness,
Yeah.
and recognizing the often overlooked aspects of ourselves and those around us.
Okay, so the first question that you asked the cards was,
Okay.
what quiet wisdom or inner guidance
Mhm.
am I overlooking?
Okay.
And the cards pulled for this were the High Priestess, the Four of Swords,
Wow.
and the Hermit.
Interesting.
Now, I don't know about you,
Mhm.
but that sounds like a recipe for some serious introspection.
Absolutely. When these three cards come together,
Yeah.
it's a powerful message to tune into that inner voice.
Okay.
The High Priestess is all about intuition and trusting your gut.
Okay.
It's that knowing that comes from within, beyond logic or reason, much like Gary's uncanny ability to sense danger
That's right.
or guide SpongeBob toward a delicious snack.
It's true. Gary always seems to know what's up.
He does.
But sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the noise of everyday life
Right.
and miss those subtle intuitive nudges.
Mm-hmm.
Is that where the Four of Swords comes in?
Precisely. This card encourages you to create space for those inner whispers to get louder.
Okay.
It's about silencing that external noise.
Yeah.
And tuning into your inner world.
Okay.
Think of Gary retreating into his shell, not to hide, but to recharge and access that quiet inner knowing.
Mm-hmm.
This card might be urging you to explore meditation journaling,
Mm-hmm.
or simply scheduling some tech-free time each day to connect with that inner wisdom.
So we're talking about embracing those
Yeah.
Gary-like moments of stillness. I can get behind that.
Okay, good.
But how does the hermit fit into all of this?
Right.
He always seems a little solitary.
The hermit encourages us to embrace solitude,
Right.
not as loneliness,
Yeah.
but as a path to self-discovery.
Okay.
He's a reminder that sometimes the answers we seek are found not in the outside world, but within the depths of our own being.
Right.
Think of it as a spiritual retreat, a journey into the heart of your own wisdom.
So the takeaway from that first spread is that we all have a little Gary wisdom inside us.
Yeah.
But sometimes we need to create this space to actually hear it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
moving on to the second question you posed to the cards.
Okay.
How can I better appreciate those
Yeah.
who support me in life? This is where the Six of Pentacles,
Good.
the Three of Cups, and the Ace of Pentacles come into play.
Wow.
And it strikes me that these cards beautifully reflect Gary's own approach to relationships.
That's interesting. I wouldn't necessarily think of Gary as the most outwardly affectionate character.
Right.
But he is fiercely loyal to SpongeBob.
Yeah.
What is it about these cards that screams
Yeah.
Gary the supportive friend?
The Six of Pentacles is all about balance
Okay.
and reciprocity in relationships.
Okay.
Think about the way Gary is always there for SpongeBob,
Right.
offering quiet companionship and support,
Yeah.
even when SpongeBob is being completely oblivious.
It's true. He never asks for much, but he's always there to lend a slimy trail
Right.
or a comforting meow.
Exactly. And that's the heart of the Six of Pentacles. It's a reminder that relationships thrive when there's a balance of giving and receiving.
Mhm.
It's about recognizing the ways in which others support us
Right.
and finding meaningful ways to show our appreciation in return.
So it's not just about what we receive from our support system,
Right.
but also how we can reciprocate that support.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like those times when Gary tries to warn SpongeBob about impending doom,
Right.
even if SpongeBob rarely gets the message.
Exactly. It's about those acts of giving,
Yeah.
both big and small,
Right.
that nurture a relationship.
Okay.
And that brings us to the Three of Cups,
Okay.
a card that embodies the joy of connection
Okay.
and celebration.
Got it.
It encourages us to acknowledge and cherish those who enrich our lives.
Yeah.
Much like Gary seems to find quiet contentment in simply being around SpongeBob.
So maybe this card is nudging us to
It could be.
express our gratitude more openly,
Yeah.
to tell those special people in our lives how much we appreciate their presence.
It could be that simple.
Yeah.
Or it might be about finding ways to celebrate those connections, to create shared experiences that deepen those bonds.
A Gary-themed appreciation party, perhaps?
You know, I wouldn't rule it out. The Ace of Pentacles reminds us that grand gestures aren't always necessary.
Right.
Sometimes it's the smallest acts of love and appreciation that
Yeah.
have the most significant impact.
Like Gary leaving a freshly scrubbed shell on SpongeBob's pillow,
Right.
as a gesture of appreciation.
Precisely. It's about those everyday acts of kindness and consideration.
Yeah.
The listening ear, the helping hand, the heartfelt words.
Hmm.
Those are the gestures that truly nourish our relationships and demonstrate genuine appreciation.
It's funny how even the smallest gestures can speak volumes when it comes to showing appreciation.
Right.
Just like Gary's quiet but steadfast presence in SpongeBob's life.
Mm.
But speaking of Gary, let's move on to the final question you posed in this reading.
Okay.
What hidden strengths do I possess that others may not see?
Okay.
And for this, the cards revealed are the Strength card,
Ooh. Ooh.
the Eight of Pentacles,
Wow.
and the Nine of Cups.
And fittingly,
Yeah.
these cards offer a glimpse into Gary's own unique brand of strength. We might not think of Gary as powerful in the traditional sense,
Right.
but he possesses a quiet resilience and determination that often goes unnoticed.
Yeah, it's easy to overlook Gary's strengths.
Yeah.
Because he's not loud or flashy,
Right.
but he's surprisingly tenacious when he needs to be.
He is.
So how does the Strength card, which always seems to depict a very powerful figure,
Yeah.
connect with Gary's more understated nature?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it highlights that true strength isn't always about brute force.
Okay.
The Strength card embodies courage, resilience,
Right.
and the ability to face challenges with grace and determination.
Mm.
Just think of the times Gary has faced down a hungry sea monster,
Right.
or outsmarted Plankton's latest scheme to steal the Krabby Patty secret formula.
Right.
He doesn't always win through sheer force,
Right.
but through cleverness, resilience, and a deep connection to his own inner compass.
Right.
And this card suggests that you, too, possess that quiet but unwavering strength.
So it's more about inner fortitude than outward displays of power.
Yes.
It's about that ability to persevere, to adapt,
Mhm.
to remain true to yourself, even when things get tough.
Right.
Kind of like Gary's unwavering loyalty to SpongeBob.
There you go.
No matter what crazy antics SpongeBob gets himself into,
Right.
Gary's always there.
Always.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that dedication is echoed in the next card,
Okay.
the Eight of Pentacles,
Okay.
which highlights your own commitment to growth and mastery.
Mm-hmm.
Like Gary diligently going about his snail duties,
Right.
always striving to create the perfect shell shine.
Right.
You're someone who puts in the effort, honing your skills, and working steadily towards your goals.
It reminds me of those like behind-the-scenes montages in movies.
Right.
Where someone is practicing a skill relentlessly,
Yes.
perfecting their craft in obscurity.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of dedication is a hidden strength in itself.
Absolutely. And it often lays the foundation for remarkable achievements,
Right.
even if those achievements aren't always immediately visible to the outside world.
Right.
And finally, we come to the Nine of Cups,
Okay.
often referred to as the wish card.
Okay.
It's a card of contentment, fulfillment,
Mm-hmm.
and the recognition that true happiness comes from within.
I love that we're ending on this card.
Yeah,
Because if there's one thing Gary seems to have figured out,
right.
is how to be content in his own shell, so to speak.
There you go.
He's not seeking external validation
Right.
or chasing after fleeting pleasures.
Mm-hmm.
He finds joy in the simple things.
Right.
A good nap,
Right.
a tasty snail treat,
Right.
the companionship of SpongeBob.
And that in itself is a hidden strength.
Right.
That ability to find joy and fulfillment from within.
Okay.
To define success on your own terms.
Yeah, right.
And to live authentically, regardless of external expectations.
Right.
It's a quality that draws people in,
Yeah.
inspiring them simply by the power of your own self-acceptance and contentment.
So as we wrap up this Gary-themed
Yeah.
deep dive, it
Yeah.
seems like the message is clear.
Yeah.
Embrace your inner Gary.
I love
Tune into that quiet inner wisdom.
your inner Gary.
Appreciate and reciprocate the support in your life.
Yes.
And recognize the strength that comes from staying true to yourself.
Beautifully said. And perhaps the most powerful takeaway is to remember that sometimes
Yeah.
the greatest strengths are found not in grand gestures or outward displays of power,
Right.
but in the quiet, often overlooked aspects of ourselves.
Mm.
Those are the qualities that truly sustain us and allow us to navigate life's adventures with resilience,
Bro.
grace, and a touch of Gary-like wisdom.
And on that note,
Yes.
we'll leave you with this final thought.
Okay.
What if, like Gary leaving his slime trail wherever he goes,
Yeah.
you left a trail of appreciation and quiet strength everywhere you went?
Ooh, I like that.
How might that shift your interactions and shape the world around you?
That's beautiful.
Ever feel like you're starring in your own personal blooper reel?
Like those moments,
Yeah.
when you just think you've got it together and bam!
Oh, yeah.
Life throws one of those my leg moments your way.
Totally. Those unexpected stumbles.
It's those moments, right?
That's what we're diving into today.
Yeah, and, to help us navigate this terrain, we're using a tool that might surprise you.
Okay.
Tarot.
Now, before anyone clicks away thinking this is about fortune telling,
Right.
it's not.
Not at all.
We're using tarot as a way to understand ourselves better, to find meaning and maybe even a little humor in those inevitable setbacks.
Think of the cards as a mirror. reflecting different energies and patterns in our lives.
I like that.
And speaking of patterns, we actually have a reading here from someone who specifically asked the cards about channeling their inner my leg guy.
Ooh, interesting.
That ability to bounce back with grace and maybe a good laugh.
And did the cards deliver?
Oh, they did not disappoint.
Okay, tell me more.
We're talking Nine of Wands, the Tower.
Whoa. Okay. Some heavy hitters right out of the gate.
Right.
Makes you wonder what they've been through.
It does paint a picture, doesn't it?
It does.
The Nine of Wands often shows up when we've been through the ringer, a bit bruised and weary.
Yeah.
But still standing.
Still kicking.
It speaks to that inner resilience, that fire that keeps us going even when we feel like giving up.
Okay, so you're battle-worn but not broken. I can relate to that.
Right.
But then there's the Tower, which always seems a bit ominous. What's the deal with that one?
Yeah, the Tower can seem scary. I get that.
Yeah.
But it's not about destruction as much as it is about a necessary breakthrough.
Okay.
Think of it like this. Remember that time you put your heart and soul into something only to have it completely fall apart?
Oh, tell me about it. I once spent weeks planning a surprise party for a friend, only to find out they'd booked a last-minute trip.
Exactly.
Ugh, it was awful.
That's the Tower energy. It's that moment when you realize things can't stay the same, even if the change is sudden and unexpected. It can feel like your world is crumbling, but often it's making way for something even better.
So it's like that classic saying, when one door closes, another one opens, but maybe with a little more rubble around the doorway.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's about embracing the unexpected, even when it's messy, and trusting that there's a bigger plan unfolding.
Okay, I'm starting to see the wisdom in these cards.
Yeah.
But what about those setbacks that leave you feeling totally drained, like you just want to wave the white flag?
Oh.
That's where the Five of Swords comes in, right?
Definitely.
Like, is it even worth picking yourself up at that point?
The Five of Swords definitely speaks to that feeling of defeat, of questioning whether the fight is worth it. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes the most resilient thing you can do is walk away from a battle that's draining your energy and focus on what truly matters.
So it's about choosing your battles wisely. I like that. Don't waste your energy on every little skirmish. Save it for the battles that truly matter. Okay, so we've talked about resilience, about knowing when to push forward and when to walk away.
Right.
But here's where I personally need some guidance.
Okay.
Because when I'm in the middle of my leg moment, laughing is usually the last thing on my mind.
Yeah.
Yet we've got cards like the Page of Cups and the Fool showing up at this reading.
Right.
They practically scream, lighten up.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It is. What's the deal with that?
How these cards pop up alongside the Three of Swords, a card often associated with heartache and pain.
Oh, wow.
It's as if the universe is saying, yes, you're allowed to feel the weight of those difficult emotions, but don't forget to find the humor in it all.
Okay, I'm intrigued, but how do you actually do that? How do you find the funny side of, say, a completely botched presentation or a public wardrobe malfunction?
Well, that's where the Page of Cups comes in.
Okay.
This card embodies childlike wonder and a fresh perspective. Imagine approaching those cringeworthy moments with the same curiosity and open-mindedness as a child, seeing something for the first time.
So instead of dwelling on the embarrassment, maybe I could find amusement in the absurdity of it all. Like, well, I guess I just gave everyone a story they won't soon forget.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Embrace the unexpected. Allow yourself to see the humor in the situation. The Fool reminds us that life is inherently unpredictable. We can fight against that, or we can learn to laugh at the absurdity of it all, including our own mishaps.
I have a feeling that learning to laugh at yourself is a key ingredient in this whole my leg guy philosophy. It's like, instead of getting bogged down by the seriousness of it all, you're choosing to find the lightness, the playfulness. It's a much more enjoyable way to navigate those inevitable bumps in the road.
And that shift in perspective can make all the difference. It's not about denying the reality of a situation, but rather choosing to see it through a more empowering lens.
Okay, so we've got resilience, we've got humor, but what about the bigger picture? What are these setbacks trying to teach us? Is there a deeper meaning behind these my leg moments?
That's where we turn to the wisdom of the Wheel of Fortune.
Okay.
This card reminds us that life is cyclical, full of ups and downs, those setbacks.
Yeah.
They're not the end of the story, just turning points on a much larger journey.
So instead of seeing them as failures, we should view them as opportunities for growth and learning.
Precisely. Think of it like this. Every time you stumble, every time you encounter one of those my leg moments, it's like the universe is nudging you in a new direction, offering you a chance to learn to adapt and to ultimately become a stronger, more resilient version of yourself.
Okay, I like where this is going. So we ride the waves of life's ups and downs, we find the humor in the unexpected, and we embrace the lessons that come our way.
Yeah.
What else can we do to navigate those inevitable my leg moments with a little more grace and maybe even a sense of purpose?
That's where the energy of temperance comes into play. It's a call for balance, for finding that steady center within yourself that allows you to weather any storm.
Ah, temperance, the art of not getting too high on the highs or too low on the lows.
Mhm.
Easier said than done, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you're caught in the throes of a major my leg moment.
It is a practice.
Yeah.
But one worth cultivating. Temperance reminds us that it's not about suppressing emotions, but rather finding that inner equilibrium that allows us to experience the full spectrum of life without getting swept away by the extremes.
So it's like that classic saying, this too shall pass,
Yeah.
but with the shot of, let's make the most of it while it's here.
Right? I think that's a great way to put it. It's
Yeah.
about acknowledging the temporary nature of both the good and the bad and finding that sense of equilibrium within. It's about understanding that even amidst the chaos and uncertainty, there's a deeper sense of peace and stability that we can tap into.
It's like having an inner compass that always points you back to center no matter how turbulent things get.
Exactly. And as you navigate those my leg moments, remember that each experience, even the challenging ones, contribute to your overall growth.
Okay, so we've got resilience, humor, balance. It's like we're building a toolkit for dealing with life's curveballs. But there's one more card here that feels like a warm hug after a storm. The Ten of Cups. What role does this card play in the grand scheme of navigating setbacks?
Ah, the Ten of Cups. It's like that feeling of coming home after a long journey,
Yeah.
a symbol of deep contentment and emotional fulfillment. And it's showing up in a reading about setbacks.
Right.
I love when the cards do that.
It does seem a bit counterintuitive, right? Like, hey, you might have just tripped over your own 2 feet, but don't worry, true love and happiness are just around the corner.
Yeah.
What's the message there?
It's a reminder that even amidst those my leg moments, even when life feels chaotic and unpredictable, joy and fulfillment are still within reach. The Ten of Cups isn't necessarily a literal promise of a fairy tale ending, but rather a symbol of hope, a reminder that no matter what challenges we face, true happiness is still possible.
It's like that saying, the sun always shines again after the storm. But how do we hold on to that hope, that belief in a brighter future when we're in the middle of those tough times?
It's about cultivating an inner knowing that setbacks, however difficult, are not the end of the story.
Okay.
They are opportunities for growth, for learning, and ultimately for experiencing even greater joy and fulfillment. The Ten of Cups invites us to embrace the journey with all its imperfections and trust that happiness is attainable, even if it comes in unexpected ways.
So it's like we're gathering all these tools, resilience, humor, balance, hope, to navigate those inevitable my leg moments. But how do we actually put these tools into practice? Because let's be real, not everyone is a tarot expert, and sometimes those setbacks hit hard.
You're right. Not everyone has a tarot deck on hand, but these insights are available to everyone. Think of it this way. Let's say you're working on a project and it falls apart at the last minute. Total my leg moment.
Oh, I've been there. That feeling of, I can't believe this is happening, mixed with a healthy dose of, did I really just spend 3 weeks on this?
Exactly. But instead of getting stuck in that frustration, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What went wrong? And how can I do things differently next time? That's you tapping into the energy of the Wheel of Fortune, understanding that this setback is part of a larger cycle of learning and growth.
So it's about shifting the narrative from, I messed up, to, okay, what's the lesson here? What can I take away from this experience to avoid a repeat performance?
Exactly. And don't forget about those other cards, like the Page of Cups.
Yeah.
Imagine yourself approaching that same situation with childlike curiosity.
Okay.
Find the absurdity, maybe you even laugh about it later. It can lighten the load and open you up to new perspectives.
I like that. Find the Fred in the fiasco. What about the Five of Swords? How do we channel that in everyday situations?
Well, the next time you're faced with a decision, think of the Five of Swords. Is this a battle worth fighting, or is it a good time to conserve your energy and walk away?
Ooh, that's a good one. It's so easy to get caught up in trying to control everything. But sometimes the most resilient thing you can do is simply walk away.
Precisely. And when you're feeling overwhelmed or off-kilter, remember temperance. Ask yourself, how can I bring more balance into this situation? What do I need to let go of? What do I need to embrace?
It's about finding that calm in the middle of the storm.
Yeah.
Not always easy, but so powerful when you can pull it off.
And remember that Ten of Cups. It's not a guarantee of a perfect life, but it is a reminder that true happiness and fulfillment are possible even after setbacks.
So to sum up, it seems like the key to navigating those my leg moments is a blend of resilience, humor balance, and a healthy dose of hope and optimism. Not a bad recipe for life, if you ask me.
I completely agree. Life is going to throw those curveballs, but it's how we choose to respond that makes all the difference.
I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about today. It's not just about tarot cards, it's about understanding those universal energies and applying them to our own lives. So the next time you have a my leg moment, instead of getting frustrated, try to see it as an opportunity for growth, for a good laugh, and maybe even a little wisdom. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep embracing those perfectly imperfect moments that make up this crazy journey we call life.